A baby is born. A human being has entered planet Earth, a living organism that belongs to a species called the Homo sapiens. I believe that the concept of a human is a scientific idea that scientists have studied over time. Now, where do I draw the line between a human and a person? What is a person? I believe that a person is a philosophical concept that contains one main variable, the soul. According to Plato's philosophy, the soul is tripartite to reason, the thinking compass that determines rationality, spirit, the emotionally profound egotistical component that seeks pride, validation, and honor, and finally appetite, the component that seeks desire, pleasure, and comfort. I completely agree with Plato because humans are constantly making decisions that are fueled by certain parts within them. In Plato's case, let's say you're in a toxic relationship with a year-long partner that is clearly not healthy for either of you. The spirit fears the aftermath of being alone and potentially depressed. The appetite can't give up the striving for lust, intimacy, and comfort, but the reason foresees the future possibilities that can be drawn from the current damages. Reason was outnumbered by spirit and appetite, as the spirit felt stuck in an emotional trance, and the appetite sought instant gratification. In this case, the reason was dominated by the spirit and appetite, leading to a deeper hole in an unhealthy relationship. We commonly see toxic relationships continue longer in society, ultimately leading to danger. According to me, that is due to Plato's tripartite soul. In people, we see this all the time, when the spirit and appetite take over the reason because they are more dominant early on in people's lives, or even more dominant when the reason is left untrained. This leads to Plato's theory that the appetite is a multiple-headed beast that craves instant gratification but is never satisfied. The spirit is the lion that is caught up in its own honor, and the reason is the mini-human that seeks rational decisions. Let's think for a second. If the reason is the ultimate goal of the soul, because it makes the best decisions, how can humans learn to train reason to overtake spirit and appetite? I believe that the answer to a rational soul and a meaningful life is Stoicism. What is a meaningful life? For me, to live a meaningful life, it takes the adoption of Stoicism. Stoicism is an interesting ancient Greek philosophy discovered by Zeno of Citium. It argues that the best version of the self is when a human experiences events without worrying about the past, the future, or any uncontrollable measures. Stoicism argues that harm is typically driven by false judgment of events due to those worries. A true Stoic develops a rational soul through disciplining other parts of the soul, in my belief, the spirit and appetite. A quote that I used in my first assignment, and the same exact quote that I'll be using in my final assignment, is a quote from Zeno stating that man conquers the world by conquering himself. Zeno's famous quote explains that the real power a human can gain isn't through external factors that the human ego tends to naturally drive for: fame, honor, control, money, etc. By conquering yourself, you discipline that ego and only focus on what you can control. Friedrich Nietzsche argues that emotions are a part of a meaningful life. Love, pride, and envy are examples of emotions that Friedrich believes are puzzle pieces to creating a meaningful life for a human being. He argues that they bring depth to a person's life. He believes that a meaningful life contains value from embracing those emotions, not channeling them. The spirit and appetite are aspects that should not dominate nor be ruled by reason. A Stoic like myself would argue that you aren't powerful or meaningful when you let uncontrollable exterior predictions, emotions, and events dictate your inner self. The true power is derived from staying grounded throughout each event in your life. Stoicism doesn't throw away all those other amazing emotions. It allows reason to discipline them. For example, when my teammate on my hockey team has a great game and scores, his confidence turns into ego. He plays the next game with no structure, doesn't pass, and complains when something doesn't go his way, all because he let his ego get in the way. As high as the highs were, his lows would match them. That's clearly not sustainable. In essence, I'm proposing that a meaningful life, in my eyes, begins once you train the soul to lead with reason through Stoicism. But constantly staying grounded, disciplined, and calm may become boring for the average person because as humans we are used to a roller coaster of emotions. What if I found a way to still feel that colorful part of life, but only in a beneficial manner? What is beauty and art? What is beauty and art to me? To me, certain art perpetuates certain feelings of beauty when I look, listen, or experience it. The main feeling is a sense of presence, a way to feel proper emotions under the lead of reason, not saturated ones that are extracted from uncontrollable factors. It reduces the rational soul's strictness into flexibility with inner emotion while staying present. For example, when I listen to the song Music for the Soul by Sam Barber, it generates present emotions that coexist with reason. It doesn't motivate me to crave, possess, or attract something. It keeps me grounded with inner color emotions in the presence. The amazing part of this song, besides the impactful melody, instruments, and chorus, is the lyrics, "I know this ain't the bar song you want to hear, but I make music for the soul." That lyric rejects the appetite ruling of the soul, because a bar song would be chasing approval, honor, money, fame, and ego. He's making music for the soul to strengthen his inner life with reasoning. A philosopher who has a similar view on beauty as I is Marcus Aurelius. We both agree that meaning contains stoicism, but the integration of beauty is a key piece to fulfillment, kind of like the cherry on top. A philosopher opposed to my view of beauty is Aristotle. His philosophy is that art is considered beautiful even through the release of your inner emotions rather than acceptance. Marcus and I believe that beauty evokes present emotions in humans in a grounded state, rather than potential focus on releasing those emotions or embracing them in the present moment. Overall, my philosophy of life seems confusing, but it all makes sense. Essentially, a person in me holds a tripartite soul that must be channeled through stoicism because humans are naturally flawed in my eyes. Art can be seen as an inner aspect to make stoicism colorful for humans, like me, who seek euphoric feelings but want to stay grounded. Thank you for an amazing semester.